Defense, remember, direction, apologies. Offense.
What the hell just happened?
There are a lot of teams that are pissed off. We're talking about whether the officials got a call right. It's ridiculous.
The ball turned in the end zone. There's a safety.
This is a huge mistake.
It's the call, man. Just to have it on a flag change the outcome of a game.
A bit embarrassing in the National Football League for that to take place.
So what is the cause of this outrage? Is it a general disdain for authority, or is there a real problem? Because it's not just the NFL either.
How the hell you call that? Well, call it on Tom Brady, will ya?
But for the sake of this video, we're going to focus on the NFL. The controversies and how one single call can determine the fate of a team's shot at winning it all.
I totally blew that call, but don't worry, I'll penalize the other team in the second half to even things up.
As long as the NFL's been around, people have had issues with the officials. Even though the referees take most of the blame, there's actually a crew of 7 officials on the field with specific duties during the game. The referee wears a white cap. They're the head of the crew, and the one who we all see announcing the penalty. Opposite of them is the umpire. They are the ones that dig in piles after fumbles to see who has possession. Everyone else is known as a judge. You've got a down judge, a side judge, a line judge, a field judge, and a back judge, all with varying focuses and responsibilities throughout the game. Now, despite an entire crew, they are still human and part-time employees, but we'll get to that later. So there's always calls that slip through the cracks.
In this game, Mike Renfro, the second-year man from TCU, would be involved in one of the most controversial calls in title game history. With 1:30 left in the third, Pastrioni threw a 6-yard rainbow to Renfro for an apparent touchdown in the corner of the end zone over Ron Johnson. The replay showed that Renfro had clear control of the ball with his left foot down and his right foot hitting the pylon. The officials conferred, and the referee, Jim Tunney, ruled it out of bounds. Houston was livid. Steelers fans accepted the generous gift. The Steelers ultimately won the game 27-13 and would move on to win the Super Bowl. But if instant replay was in effect, the call on the field very well could have been reversed and Pittsburgh fans would have been hard-pressed to argue it. The only problem was that instant replay wouldn't be adopted on the field for another 6 years.
I hate to see maybe the biggest play in this game, not made by the players on the field, but made by the officials.
The introduction of instant replay helped the referees take a second look at plays, overturning bad calls that were made in the moment. But as helpful as it was, it didn't solve every problem. There was still room for error.
It was Thanksgiving Day 1998. The Pittsburgh Steelers were facing off against the Detroit Lions, and the game was close. The 7-4 Steelers needed this win to keep their playoff hopes alive. But Barry Sanders and the Detroit Lions kept the game tied at 16 at the end of regulation.
With the game tied, both teams went to the field for the coin toss. And that's where things got a little weird, as Bettis describes himself.
I went out to call the coin toss. The referee throws the coin up.
Call it plays in there. Heads is the call. He said heads.
I said tails.
Oh, I believe he said tails. He did. Oh, my.
Star running back Jerome Bettis insisted that he called tails that night, but the referee heard otherwise.
Couldn't believe it. I looked over to Robert Porcher on the Lions. He knew what had just happened. He takes off running to the sideline.
Start getting all the officials out there for the coin toss to see what's going on.
Coach Cowher literally had steam coming out of his ears. I said, Coach, I called tails.
Despite pleading, the call went to the Lions.
They get the ball, and ultimately they get the ball, they win the game.
After the loss to the Lions, the Steelers would go on to lose 5 more games and miss the playoffs.
That was the last time I called a coin toss in my career.
Enhancement of the audio years later would find that Jerome said heads, tails, switching his answer mid-flip. To avoid confusion again, the NFL would change the rule that same week, making the players call before the coin is flipped. To this day, Jerome Bettis still denies that he said otherwise.
I said tails.
So it's 2 different points in history, 2 different types of missed calls. But what happens when a penalty called almost ends a player's career?
It was early in the second quarter, and referee Jeff Triplett calls a false start, throwing the penalty flag and calling the play dead. In an unfortunate series of events, the flag was on its way directly towards offensive tackle Orlando Brown's helmet.
So watch what happens here. Unfortunate, and the referee, Jeff Triplett's flag, hits Orlando Brown in the eye.
Bruce is in some pain down there,
It looks like he might have got poked in the eye.
The flag flew through his face mask and hit him in the eye.
One of the reasons why this was such a big deal because the penalty flags back then were weighted down with metal ball bearings. The referee immediately apologized as it was an accident, but Orlando Brown was not happy about it.
And now referee Jeff Triplett has just been pushed to the ground by an irate offensive tackle.
Orlando's actions caused him to be fined and suspended from the game, but the referee's unintentional actions almost cost a player his eye.
After days in the hospital, Orlando's right eye was saved. He would need 3 years of rehab, but he did eventually return to play again as a Baltimore Raven.
Of course, there are many other calls throughout history that would question the officials' involvement in the game. And with the advancement of social media, fans of the sport have never been more vocal.
Not a single positive comment in here.
Especially during the 2023-24 season when there was one topic that kept recurring.
Taylor
Travis
Swift.
Kelce.
Travis Kelce.
No! No!
The referees were a pain point throughout the season, once again missing key calls that cost some teams the game. To name a few, there was Amari Cooper being called out of bounds when he clearly wasn't.
Feet are clean there.
There was also a clear horse collar on Buffalo quarterback Josh Allen with no call.
How do you not see that? That is pretty blatant, I think.
Or how about that intentional grounding call when Lamar Jackson fell over an official who was on the ground in the end zone?
It's a safety in the first points of the night.
Or finally, an infuriating call in Dallas.
What an ending in Dallas. Detroit has a 2-point game-winning conversion taken off the board for a substitution, a reporting violation.
The Dallas Cowboys were playing the Detroit Lions in a late season game that had heavy playoff implications. Late in the game, the Detroit Lions scored a touchdown with 23 seconds left to cut Dallas's lead to 1. But Coach Dan Campbell's aggressive nature kept the offense on the field to try for the 2-point attempt instead of kicking the field goal and tying the game. On the play, Jared Goff throws what appears to be a completion to offensive lineman Taylor Decker. The Lions should have the lead at this point, but a flag is thrown for an illegal touching penalty on the Lions. As an offensive lineman, you have to report as eligible to the referee in order to catch a pass on any given play. The referees claimed that Decker didn't report and gave the Lions a 5-yard penalty negating the play. But video evidence may suggest that the Cowboys got away with one. In the video, we see Goff directing Decker to report as eligible to the referee. Then it appears that Sewell, number 58, and Decker, number 68, both signal to the referee to make them eligible for the play. Then it is announced that number 70, Dan Skipper, who was running in late to the play, is announced as eligible.
Now, two people can't report as eligible in the same play, but we can clearly see that it is Decker.
The players did everything right. Quit covering somebody's butt. Be a man and take responsibility. Oh, it's just a game. Yeah, it's a game that may very well cost them the second seed and possibly the first seed.
And this did have heavy implications as the Lions ended up finishing 3rd overall in the NFC Conference, whereas if they had won, they would have had a shot at the number 1 seed.
This was a classic miscommunication from the officials that had a big impact. But unfortunate as it is, they are human, so errors are bound to happen. What can be done to ensure that less mistakes happen, that this doesn't happen again? One of the easiest arguments is make him a full-time employee.
This NFL ref thing, I don't get it, AJ. Why won't they just fucking do it?
I'm guessing they're saying it's a money thing, right? Like, we don't have the money set aside to pay these guys as full-time officials. Like, really, what is the reason? What's keeping them away? The NFL, it's all they care about is, like, integrity. We got to hold up the tradition we have, and obviously we have to have good officials for that to happen.
That's right. Believe it or not, being an official in the NFL is a part-time gig.
There's an effort by some to try to push back against the, frankly, cheapness by the league, and it is, plain and simple, cheapness. They don't see what they're going to get in return for the money they spend, so they don't want to spend the money.
In addition to being an official during the season, many of them have other jobs. Some as dairy farmers, tax accountants, college professors, and even aerospace engineers.
When you see the list of all the referees, of all the other positions on the officiating crews, and you see the jobs next to it, it really is Wow.
And there are valid arguments for making them full-time as well.
Dean Blandino, the Fox rules expert, said if officials wouldn't have other jobs taking away from the NFL job, people who spend more time on their craft are going to be better at it.
Right, if you're like only focused on one thing, you're gonna do that thing better. I mean, I can't think of a part-time job that I've had that I've only been like truly dedicated to the company.
And that just makes the case for having them be full-time. Once they are full-time, they can be fully held accountable for any bad calls that they make in the game.
Make them full-time employees.
Yeah.
So therefore, if you mess up, you can get fined too. Players and coaches can't speak on some egregious stuff that happened that would alter the outcome of a game.
Yeah, like right now, players and coaches can't talk about anything that happens in a game, no matter how bad the call was or how devastating it was to their team.
Exactly. Like, look at the case of when the Kansas City Chiefs lost to the Buffalo Bills. Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes were fined heavily for criticizing the refs after the game.
I mean, they're human, man. They make mistakes, but I mean, every week we're talking about something, and I know how much everybody puts into this game, and to happen on a flag change the outcome of a game.
It's a bit embarrassing.
He's tapping in to the anger that we keep talking about around here. Fans pissed about the officiating this year.
So like, where do we go from here? Like, what's the solution here? Is it more tech? Is it more like, are they going to add more cameras to help their job instead of giving them full-time status?
When you can take a 3D model and register it onto the real world, what you've done now is you've allowed the ability to measure live distances and dimensions on things.
But if there was a channel where you could just hear the referees live all the time.
After he tackled the quarterback, he's giving them business.
From my perspective, you have a franchise worth so much. You have a league that is generating so much revenue. After so much scrutiny that they've had this year, last year, all the other years leading up until today with the refs and the calls that they make, wouldn't you want to protect that? Wouldn't you want to have the integrity of like people who are like performing at the highest level, that we don't have these discussions every year?
I know that there will be a time where the NFL will have no choice but to convert to full-time officials. They are delaying the reckoning as long as they can. And what will happen is there'll be some major controversy, and the only way out of it will be for the NFL to say, fine, we'll spend the money for full-time officials.
Yeah, I don't have an answer to this. I don't know about you. I don't know what the answer to this is. I'd be interested in anybody else's opinion. You can leave a comment and see what you think about it, because like, I don't think this is going to be solved soon.
No, this is a long-term problem, but I think they can start taking some steps. I just don't know what those steps are.
You know what, Tim, though? I think there might be someone who might be able to save this whole thing altogether.